Today's Top 5 Wednesday is top 5 historical books, so let's do this. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. So this top 5 is pretty self-explanatory. It's just 5 books based around historical events. So at number 5, I have gone for a book which I'm not really sure whether or not it fits into this, and I'm going to say The Diary of Anne Frank by Anne Frank. I picked this book simply because I feel it's one of those books that everyone should read at some point in their life. I particularly would recommend it if you're kind of in your early to mid-teens. I think that's a good point to read it because it's a really great introduction to learning about that whole era in history, and it's very obviously at that age, I think it impacts you most when you read it. So yeah, that's my number 5. At number 5 is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, because it is just such a rich account of that kind of era of history. Obviously it's fictionalised, but obviously it's also based around the rebellions in Paris at that time, so it is historical. I haven't finished this book yet. I am slowly but surely getting through this book 1 year at a time. It's taken me a long time to read this book because I just don't read it that often, but I'm gradually getting through it, and it is beautifully written, and it's one of those books that one day I will be able to say I've read. It's just taken me a long time to read, but I do recommend reading it. At number 3 is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I really enjoyed this book. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I expected to, but that said, I do think it's just a really interesting take on that era in history, just because a lot of the books written around the Second World War are understandably quite deep and difficult reads, whereas this is obviously aimed at a younger age, so it's kind of an introduction to that era, and it's just nice to read about life in that time. So I think it's just a different viewpoint of that era, so it's really interesting, and I recently saw the film of this and definitely read the book. I feel like the film missed a lot of what the book is great at. At number 2 is not a book, technically it's actually a play, but it is The Crucible by Arthur Miller. Obviously a lot of people will know this, but for those of you who don't know, it's about the Salem witch trials, but it was written during the McCarthy era, when all the communism stuff was going on. It was meant to be a kind of mirror to society and said, look, this has happened before and it was horrible, why are we doing this again, sort of thing. For that reason I picked it, just because I think it was such an important play for that time, and it is a beautiful play. It is by far one of my favourite plays. I have performed it and I have seen it on multiple occasions, but yeah, nothing beats the play itself. It's a brilliant play, and if you haven't read it or seen it, then I really recommend doing so. And my number 1 on my top 5 historical books is The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas by John Boyne. This book really hit me when I read it. It is because it is all told from the point of view of Bruno, who is 9, who is 9 years old, and it's his point of view of the Holocaust basically, and he doesn't really understand what's going on, and it's very moving, and I won't spoil it, but it's very emotional. If you are toing and froing over whether or not to read this book or watch the film, I would say that although the film is an okay adaptation, please read the book, because it just hits you so much more when you read the book, and I just love this book so much. It's young adult, it's kind of aimed at a younger range of adult, but I read it when I was probably 18, 19 and really loved it, so I really recommend reading this book if you haven't yet, and it's really short, so yeah, you no excuse. So that is my top 5 historical books for this week. I will be back tomorrow with another video, but until then, bye!